Back at it again with another video, baby. As you can see, we got the Super Battle Road Future Saga. And let me just say, if you did not do the Super Battle Road, if you're having difficulty with it, let me give you a piece of advice that I did not know of. And his name is Mr. STR My and Trunks. Now, I'll be honest with you. I always thought of the STR Mind Trunks as being an LSSR, an LLR really, but that motherfucker carried this Super Battle Road so fucking heavy, so hard. It's ridiculous, dude. Like, if you come here and you get him as a friend, you have a chance of winning this event by himself. Like, by himself, he puts in fucking work, because if you have a Mr. Int Goku Black, Goku Black is pretty, I'd say decent, not good, decent. Unless you are going to be in something like this Super Battle Road, where it is somewhat short. And because of that, he does not transform, and he doesn't get enough super attacks to get his defense to where it's like, holy shit, it's actually amazing. So unfortunately, Mr. Goku Black has dog shit defense for a long, long time. But thankfully for us, your boy, LR Trunks, this motherfucker dodges, this motherfucker stuns, this motherfucker does a lot of shit. And I'm actually surprised I was able to beat this, because if you had seen the difficulty in which I had when I didn't use this fucking card, it literally looked like I was never gonna it looked like I was never gonna beat this event. I was legit like, I guess I'm gonna have to wait for Tech LR, or not even LR, Tech TUR Trunks to come out, and then maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to win this event. But yeah, this fucking card is way better than the Int Goku Black. Goku Black's cool. I like him. He's definitely cool for long maps where he gets to transform and build up his defense. But he fucking sucks on this map, and he's only here, literally, the only reason this motherfucker exists is so that our boys right here can get their fucking super attacks and have their nice HP and attack up. That's about it. He's a leader skill, and that is what it is. But yeah, thankfully I brought that card. That motherfucker made a huge difference. And as you can see, I also have the AGL Mai, who at this point in time is pretty much the best stunner other than the LR on this team. I also have the Int Mai, who eventually gets an awakening and becomes really good. But I believe that did not occur yet, or if it did, I'm just fucking retarded. But this is the squad, this is the team. Name of the game is stun, stun, stun. And once you get to stun, it is what it is. By the way, let me just say, because I didn't know this is something that, you know, sometimes you got to learn some shit. You got to go through some growing pains. Mr. Cell, the second stage of this event, every single enemy in this event is a Future Saga enemy. Or whatever the fuck bullshit you need for LR Trunks to actually dodge. He only dodges against Future Saga Mongoloids. And I found out Mr. Cell is not a Future Saga Mongoloid, because I fucking took 1,000,000 damage from him, super hits. And if you pay attention, he does not get his key up. So that's stun, dude. Oh my god. Every time I see, dude, I think the absolute most valuable status ailment you can get in this game is a stun, dude. When you get a stun, it's just like, oh, it is so fucking, like, it feels so good, dude. I really wish they would bring that back to Dokkan events. It's kind of corny how, like, every event now, every Dokkan event anyway, they don't let you stun the enemy. So, like, characters who have high chance to stun, you know, that's kind of what made them unique. You know, General Blue, I'm looking at you. They no longer have that in Dokkan events, so they can fucking irrelevant. But hey, Super Battle Road, we can still stun these motherfuckers. Look at that. One shot wasn't enough. 2 shots, make sure you're not getting back up. But yeah, so throughout this event, the only caveat is probably Cell. Cell does not give a fuck about Future Saga category. He ain't Future Saga, so unfortunately you're not going to dodge shit with Cell. But, hey, not too bad. We pretty much beat every single Super Battle Road. I actually am super duper 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 close to no iteming the giant form Super Battle Road. But every single time I get to the final stage, I get super unlucky. And the thing is, like, I want to stop, but every time I do an attempt, I get to the final stage, and I'll have, like, 140k, 180k HP. And literally, like, the sequence of events occurs in such a way that, say if I have 120,000 HP, I'll take 121,000 damage, and I'm like, dude, that's so fucking close. Because once you get to the end, you basically transform every turn with Hirudegarn or the Ape, or the Golden Ape with Baby. So I want to try to no item that stage, but I'm not gonna lie, that shit is a time-consuming endeavor. But as you can see here, I actually knew this cell was a piece of shit, so much so that I used the Ghost Dust here. So if things went bad here, I did not get the stun. I wouldn't fucking die, because you know how the game is, bro. When you need something, you don't get it. There's a difference between wanting something and needing something, and sometimes when you need it, you don't get it, just like that fucking stun. But other than that, I actually came home a little bit early from my job. Today is Friday. Today is 2 days away from the Lord's Day, and now I know why. I know why the Lord rested on the seventh day, because on the fifth day, I'm ready to fucking go to bed. So I don't know how the Lord made it to Saturday and then all the way to Sunday. But I tell you right now, Friday, oof, I needed it this week, bro. I needed it this week. I'm gonna tell you something right now. One of the most like weird things about my job, and I'd say things that I do even personally, is how like annoying setting shit up is, but then at the same time also how amazing it is once you have it set up. So I'll give you an example, right? This week we started a new Spring Boot project, and right here I was trying to make sure like what is the difference between his ultra super attack and his regular super attack. Because I saw that his ultra super attack has a great chance to stun, I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to take no chances, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. That way my boy over here can get the ultra super attack. But yeah, like I was saying, this week we started a new project, a fresh net new project. So because of that, we're actually, creating a brand new Spring Boot project. We're initializing everything. We're getting everything set up. And for this project, I was configuring a new way of using a Postgres database with the project, like a local Docker file. By the way, anyone in college, they don't teach you this shit in college because I never heard of it. But if you could learn Docker, Docker is open source. It's available to everyone. If you could just learn the basics of Docker, and if you put that on your resume, that's going to go a long way, dude. Because Docker is almost as important as Git, I would say. Almost as important as Git. Like, we use Docker for everything. Docker image for a database. Docker image for a fucking service. Docker image for a fucking Kinesis stream. Docker image for an SNS topic. Docker is fucking... If they ever go public, I'm investing a million zillion fucking dollars. That shit is used, like, so heavily. But yeah, like I was saying, we had to go about using a new way of using this Docker image, because the way we used to do it is that we usually use Maven projects, and in Maven you can set up shit and have it set up so that when you build it, instantiates the project and instantiate like the database for you. But they actually made something new. It's been around for a while, but it's now becoming popular. At least I heard of it, so now it's popular. It's something called test containers, and the way test containers work is that they, at runtime, either during Maven clean install or during your test execution, will dynamically create whatever Docker resource you want, which is pretty fucking cool, dude. I like that a lot. It basically allows you to run tests from the IDE as opposed to going and backing out and like building Maven and then coming back in. But in order to do that, this is the first time I'm doing it, and I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. We gotta read documentation. So I was reading documentation on how to do that. I figured out how to do it, but it's so annoying, dude. The setup. Like, all I wanted to do, and by the way, the whole point of this was to set that up and then contribute some integration tests for the project. Oh my god, dude, that shit legit took like a day and a half. And the thing is, it didn't really take a day and a half. It took a good 4 hours of like figuring it out. But it took me a day and a half because I had so many fucking meetings this week. I don't know what happened, but my calendar got fucking raped by meetings. I just looked at the fucking meetings and I'm like, oh lord. I actually, Fred, because every 2 weeks, we have sprint planning and you plan what you're going to do. And I'm like, listen, take a fucking day out for meetings. I got meetings out the ass. Just take it off the fucking board. So I'm a nice meeting guy. I've been meeting here and meeting there. Matter of fact, actually one of my meetings was the definition of salt. It was like, I wasn't even supposed to go to this meeting. One of my coworkers was going to go. And then he basically was on vacation, so they asked me to go. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Dude, this meeting was like nothing but pure fucking salt. Like, Oh, by the way, look at this. Look how much damage I'm about to take. This is crazy. 160. I did not know I was going to take that much damage, dude. I swear to God, in my mind, I was thinking I'm taking 90k hits. 164,000. If I wasn't full HP, I would have been fucking cooked. But yeah, I ended up going to this meeting, and it was like salt ridden. What's amazing is that there was so much salt in the meeting, but there was only 4 people. It was me, another person, and then another person. That makes 4 people. In case you didn't know what the number 4 was, that's when 4 things are there. And we're basically just talking about general processes at our job, things that we can work on, things that the organization can work on to become better, etc., etc. And one thing that we got on, because we've been integrating with a project recently, is that, you know, some people aren't as experienced as others. Like, some people don't know, you know, as much about AWS, or they don't know as much as about the deployment process. They're just, you know, they're relatively new to the job, and like, I don't know, like, I have a soft spot for not judging people until they like exhaust every possibility in terms of fucking shit up. Like, because basically one person's like, listen, I have people on my team, they don't care about the deployment, they don't think about it, they're like, fuck it, I don't want to go to meetings, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. They don't care. They just don't care about it. And I'm like, listen, maybe they just don't know about it. Because, like, when I got hired, dude, I figured all my shit out on my own. Like, no one told me anything. You know, it was kind of just job experience. I mean, obviously, people helped me and they explained things, but there was, like, no Confluence page. There was no, like, documentation page. There was no, like, managerial moment where the manager's like, talk to this person, do that. It was more so, like, just get it done and figure it out, which was, you know, it's a learning process, but, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, not, and watch this, by the way, look at this. I'm so happy I got this additional. I did not know this fucking rat cell would survive that super attack, dude. That's crazy. I really did not know he was going to survive that shit, that fucking roach. But yeah, so my point was like, listen, you know, some people are new, they don't know things. And then they were like, listen, you know, I have people on my team for 2 years, they don't care about the deployment. We got to push something to production. They don't think about it, this, that, and the third. So it's just general salt. And the thing they were most salty about, they're like, listen, fair enough, some people don't want to do things, this, that, the third. But the number one thing that was getting them dumb salty, it was, they're like, what the fuck are dude, one dude, he got super salty. Like, I don't blame him, because he's basically like, listen, me and my team, we just get random projects. Like, out of nowhere, here's a project, work on it. And he was saying that in the past, they had an architect who, first of all, I don't know the full story of this architect guy. I just know, like, he's Mr. Mysterious. Like, I never in my life saw this guy with my own 2 eyes. Like, not in person, like, no bullshit. I legit never saw him. Like, people were like, yeah, you never met blah blah, and I'm like, I legit never fucking saw him. They're like, yeah, he works from home a lot, this, that, the third. And I thought he was a remote employee, because we have some remote employees at my job where, like, they're just, you know, they're just remote. But I legit never saw this motherfucker ever. And basically in the past, he had written components and some item to be made and used in production, and then the team that he was working on, the dude who was talking, basically was like the QA part of it. They had to write tests and troubleshoot it and deploy it. By the way, just to say, that's like 60% of the time in terms of creating something. Like, anyone can write code. I could write code. But then in order to deploy that shit and actually make sure it works, that's literally what takes the most amount of time. It's fucking annoying. So basically they did that. They saw that his code was like fucked. It wasn't that good. This, that, and the third, etc., etc. And basically he was saying that we learned from that a lesson that, listen, we're not going to, and by the way, right here, I was just like, fuck it. I don't know why, but I just didn't feel like using an item, and I'm like, listen, we have to get this done, and we're going to fucking die. It's that simple, boys. And boom, stuns. But yeah, like I was saying, he was saying that they went through a hardship where in the past some Hmong wrote some random program, they had to test it, deploy it, go through the headache, rewrite shit because it wasn't right, etc., etc. And then after that, what ended up happening, what he was saying that got him so salty, is that he's like, literally, they came to him to do the same exact thing. Like, they had the same exact idea where they're like, listen, what if this guy, the same guy, writes it, you guys test it, deploy it, and own it? And he's like, I'm not going to fucking do that. Like, that's literally the same exact shit we just did. And what's going to end up fucking happening is the same exact thing that happened last time. we're just going to run into a fucking problem where the shit doesn't work. We have to rewrite it. We have to go through bullshit. And this guy's like never around. He's never available. This, that, and the third. Dodge, bitch. This, that, and the third. And he got really upset. And he told basically like the managers and the people telling him to do this, like how many things had to go. He said it like this, dude. He was so salty. He goes, how many things have to go wrong for this to end up on my desk? Like, how did you not know that this was a bad thing? And dude, the whole time I'm in the meeting, I'm just like sitting there, and I kept stressing, like, this is my first job, so like I'm not, I'm new to the rodeo. I've been working for 2 years, yeah, but I don't have that much life experience. When I'm gonna go, well, when I was at AT&T, or when I was at this company, when I was at that company, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't at Google, and now I'm working at Facebook, and I'm like, oh, this is what Google does. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking a moment where I just know what I know from this job. And the point I'm trying to make is that, I feel like my job is pretty damn good. There's definitely areas of improvement. But I think one thing that is a positive is that I've noticed that over time, they repeatedly will, like, when you say, hey, we have this problem, hey, we have that problem, they actually do address it. And, like, for example, there was 2 or 3 fairly large problems last year that they resolved, they started working towards. One of them is resolved for the most part. And some other issues are still being worked on. So I feel like my job is pretty good, and I feel like it's not like anything terrible. But it definitely, I definitely see where people are a little bit salty. I'm not that salty, like, you know what I mean? Like, my job does dumb things sometimes, but I very rarely get, salty or upset. As long as it's not anything that doesn't make any fucking sense, I usually am like, whatever, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, you kind of just have to take things with a grain of salt and not get too crazy. Because I know, like, for me anyway, like, sometimes at my job, certain people, like, get super strung out and they'll feel like they're under pressure, and they're not really under pressure. And that's actually, like, one thing my coworkers got a little salty at. We have a BA who, like, takes things super seriously, which is very good. But sometimes she gets, like, in her own head where she's worried that some deadline is going to, like, nuke us. And it's not really that serious, and it's not that crazy, which, by the way, oh, look at that. Transform McGee over here. Which isn't that serious, and it's fine, you know what I mean? She takes it seriously. But some people get salty at that. Some people get salty that people get salty. Like, she's like, listen, we have this we got to do, we have that we got to do, this, that, the third, etc., etc. And basically, they get upset when she, stresses, hey, we got to do this, hey, we got to do that. And they low key, like, they hate, like, I don't want to say they hate doing work, but they hate, like, feeling pressure at all, like any sort of pressure, even if it's not real pressure. In the sense that it's not like, oh my God, this deadline's gonna happen or you're gonna lose your job. You know what I mean? But like, anytime people exhibit that, they kind of get salty. And it's not that big of a deal to me. It's like, fair enough. Like, if they're taking it seriously, they're taking it seriously. If they're a little bit, she is new to the role, so if they're a little bit, overly cautious, or they're, thank God I used that we dude. Of course she does a stun. If people are a little bit more cautious, overly cautious, or they're trying to do certain things, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But these men, they will get upset, and that's the thing too. Like, low key, I can't help but feel like, I know I'm gonna sound like a liberal for saying this, which is terrible. You always want to sound conservative, but I always feel like they get upset when women tell them to do certain things, or when women, like, have a certain perspective in terms of, we need to do this before we do that, we have to do this, etc., etc. And it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like they get upset when people tell them to do certain things, and kind of like not like do it right now or else, but they get super fucking salty whenever people bring stuff up and try to do, like, a process by the process, as opposed to kind of like half-assing it to a degree, which is kind of jutsu. I mean, it's not like they're getting, super salty and they're like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. You have a vagina. I have fucking testicles and refuse. But it is kind of like, I noticed that. I don't know. It's just me personally. Like, I've noticed people, like, when dudes say it. Here's the thing. Here's a great example, right? Here's a great fucking example. Not too long ago, we were going over some new, like, technology, right? And it was basically it was Lombok, basically. Lombok was some new technology that was being implemented, and they were recommending it, and it was just like a managerial thing, right? And what ended up happening is, I remember I was talking with my coworker, he's like, I would never use that shit, that's dumb as fuck, da da da. But like, yo, people put mad respect on the senior mongs at my company, especially if you're a dude. I'm not trying to make this about sexism, but I don't know. I just noticed like some people will like question things, but then when it comes from this one dude, they're like, we got to do it. If he says it, we got to do it. I mean, fair enough. He is very senior, so it literally has nothing to do with the fact that he's a guy or a girl, but it's just the fact that like someone was so opposed to the idea, and then when it came out of his lips, they're like, ah, you know what, fuck it, why not? But then again, now that I think about it, the medicine does go down smoother when you're talking to someone that you kind of like and respect, and they have a lot of experience. So maybe you know what, low key, I'm turning into a fucking SJW. I need to start going to fucking tiki torch rallies and shit so I can stop being such a libtard. But that is pretty much it. That's the end of the road. We did the future saga, and let me just say, let me reiterate. Either you get LR trunks or you take an L. It's that simple. Because I did this event a million times and took nothing but L's. I put that LR trunks on one time. And we got the dubs, boy.